What's going on, everybody? It is your host, Dr. Splash, and I've got a little bit of news real quick, something slight. I will be dropping that Doomslayer project. I'm actually dropping a mega one because I got so much love in recent videos. It will be Doomslayer versus Marvel and DC Hell Lords. I'm dropping them off in 10 different hells in Marvel with 10 different Hell Lords, talking about every scenario. That video could honestly end up like over an hour long. So show some love with the like button right now if you're excited for that. That drops tomorrow. This video is dropping right now, speaking on behalf of Kyle Rayner's scaling, like I did for Simone the Digger. And then tonight I'm dropping my Dr. Splash's Guide to Power Scaling. Essentially, all the terms and stuff I use when I scale on my channel so that my viewers have a good understanding of what I mean when I use certain phrases and terms. If you guys love content like this, if you love comic books, anime, all that, and love what I do in general, smash the like button. 400 plus likes would be amazing. And check out my Discord. Come hang out. But back on topic, right? I initially debunked Death Battles, Kyle versus Simone. Disagreed with how they scaled Kyle. With how he was represented too. Did my research into Gurren Lagann. Did a video framing, in my opinion, a better argument in the viewership of Kyle fans on how Simone could possibly beat or even destroy Kyle, depending on how you scale, right? Like if you do, and in my opinion, it's correct, if you get Simone to outer versal and thus his hacks to that range as well, you have a pretty fun argument against Kyle, right? But that doesn't speak on behalf of Kyle at all. And what you're going to see as I'm talking is the examples of how extreme the cosmology in DC gets. You see, being outer versal is cool. That's a fun term we throw around a lot, right? It goes for anything that's beyond the concepts of time and space and dimensionality. Well, you see, that's sick, especially with the proliferating endless universes just stacking upon each other and whatnot, and different cosmos, dimensions, whatever you want to call it. That is what Gurren Lagann has. Well, just arguably a universe in DC has that. And then on top of that, you have the endlessly now unretconned endless multiverse. Okay. So that alone easily matches what Gurren Lagann has for the cosmology. Of course, though, we must be fair. The spiral and anti-spiral, they transcend this, right? The thing with DC is we just got to only a multiverse, right? Like only the multiverse. And then you have layers beyond that, like limbo. This obviously infinitely transcends to the point that comic book stories go here to die. This is nothingness, a realm of nothing. Basically, if you're not strong enough narratively, you will get erased even trying to exist here. Let's say we put spiral, anti-spiral, we say they transcend the multiverse, they go here, right? Like they transcend to an outerversal degree, whatever. Let's say they're limbo level, they're passively, all that, for the sake of argument, of course. Then you get the stuff like the God Sphere. The God Sphere itself, everything below it is like not real in comparison. On top of this, true God Sphere hosts stuff like heaven, hell, uh, parts of the dreaming, with the dreaming itself having infinite layers of outer versal existence. Narratives, dreams, all these things, concepts, the rawest abstract possible ideas. And then that God sphere gets transcended, right? Like, God forbid we say, okay, fuck the rap shit. Simone can make it to God sphere. Well, there's realms beyond that. You know, there's stuff like the monitor sphere. We know at this point the speed force, the emotional spectrum got buffed, and they're not even really bounded. They're emanations of power that can literally mess with source tier, like reverse flash, just damage the source. So you have these many layers with transcendences between them. And then you have something like the dreaming, which is in just one layer. And that alone outscales just the layers within the dreaming, outscales the Gurren Lagann cosmology. Like if you get into that big boy scaling, right? Like if we give Simone his big boy scaling, in return we have to give DC its big boy scaling. And the argument here is pretty clear. You have one side that when you take it to an extreme degree, yeah, we can argue outer for sure. For sure. No limits shown in an outer versus degree. We're not going to say spiral versus anti spiral is super easy, right? Like both respectable forms of power. Spiral ended up stronger. How much stronger? Was it like several outer versal layers stronger? In my opinion, that's hard to argue, right? So then you have Kyle when he scales to the entirety of DC creation. We're including the heavens, the dreaming, the different layers of hells, um, the scaling above the emotional spectrum itself, which scaled, we saw an instance of just the Yellow Lantern alone with Sinestro scaling above Adam, whose powers scale to the likes of the Rock of Eternity, could stand against the Great Darkness for time. It's fucking insane scaling, easily high outer to boundless. So when you take the White Lantern and you use the big boy scaling, the high-end scaling we applied to Gurren Lagann, pretty simple for comic book readers to feel like at that point, the DC cosmology is much more fleshed out, much more layered, and much more evidence of a bigger existing cosmology in comparison to the likes of Gurren Lagann. And even when we take the favorable scaling for Simone, if we take the favorable scaling for Kyle and how DC scales, he has all that bullshit and more at his disposal. At the end of the day, the strongest argument for DC and Kyle Rayner's favor is that the cosmology is simply too dense, has too many layers, and outscales in a logical manner the Gurren Lagann cosmology to the point that you feel like, hey, facts aside, powers aside, evolution aside, you got to prove at that point you have infinite outer versal layers that you're going to be transcending immediately. Like it gets weird for Simone fans at that point with the stance comic book fans would be taking. Thus, he would just simply outscale with the cosmology and would just be too high above Simone. Anyways, guys, and by the way, to adjust this to willpower and running out of imagination and all that, to overcome the emotional spectrum, to overpower these entities, you have to be stronger than the concepts themselves. Sinestro had to be stronger than the concept of fear itself. Greed had to be overcome the concept, the entity itself. So these things are overcome when you are a White Lantern. That's high outer to boundless levels of will and imagination right there. Like, what are we talking about? Okay. So that's something else to keep in mind. And overall, the strength of the DC cosmology is where majority of the arguments are coming from the comic book fans, and it's why they feel like Kyle Rayner would destroy Simone the Digger. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you like this style of a trio of videos where I do a debunk and then I put forth my arguments for both sides and how I would scale them and whatnot, let me know if you enjoyed this. If you didn't enjoy it, you can let me know as well. If you just want a simple debunk and I move on, that's fine as well. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been your host, Dr. Splash. And remember, it's Yancey Street, bitches.